Hey, what's going on, world? This is the Overtime Sports Show, back at it again in our regularly scheduled time slot on a Tuesday evening, coming to you live. My name's Greg Gross, my co-host Dan O'Brien, with you for the next hour or so, bringing you the very best commentary in the world of sports. We start every single show for the last 21 shows with an epic hat reveal, and my understanding is today is not going to be any different.
No, sir.
Dan, how you doing, man? You got
I'm
another hat
doing
for me?
I'm doing great. I got a very festive hat for the season. We were just talking about it pre-show, so you may have an idea. But without further ado, let me put this bad boy on.
Let's see it. Okay, man.
Yeah, little Detroit Tigers
Right
man.
now. Yes, sir.
Yep,
Yes, sir. That's
we were just
beautiful.
talking about it. It's one of my favorite times of the year, spring training baseball. First full weekend of spring training baseball this past weekend. And, I just love it. I know you love it. I love it. And baseball, we always talk about what our top sports are. Baseball is by far my number one. And, goes football, college football. But just something about baseball. My dad's a big baseball guy. I'm a big baseball guy. So, I just thought I'd put the hat on for the festive season. And, we were just talking about planning out some spring training events. So, a little love for our boy Chip too, Detroit Tiger boy. So we'll see if we can parlay some actions into Detroit Tiger Lakeland, Florida. So.
Yeah, we got to make that happen. I love that hat.
Oh yeah.
The listeners out there, if you missed one of our earlier shows a couple months back last year, we interviewed Chip Lawrence, a scout for the Detroit Tigers. He joined us for probably half of our show. I think we grilled him with every great question we could ask him, and he was a champ. He was a trooper. The guy was an absolute blast to talk to, and looked like just a wealth of knowledge. He would definitely be proud of that hat that you're sporting right now. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we'll next couple shows we're gonna have a big baseball show. So not to get too far ahead of ourselves, we'll do a big baseball preview show. But just wanted to show some spring training baseball love.
I love it. That's an awesome hat. Again, 22 shows in a row now. I think you've done a hat reveal every time, which is awesome. And we know we got some news that we might be sharing with some folks. We won't let too much out of the bag right now, but stay tuned next week and maybe the show after that. We got some hopefully some good news on some hat things to come. But
yes, sir.
Good stuff, Dan. I want to come back to baseball in a little bit. You just talking about it now, some spring training. You brought some things that are coming to my mind. But before we get deep into that, I had planned to start the show with a little bit of hockey talk. We're obviously either in the middle of the season or honestly kind of coming towards the back half now. Most teams have only 20, 25 games or so left. And I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of bumming pretty hard and talked about it now for a few weeks in a row, I think. But, me being a diehard Devils fan, they had 2 games this past weekend. They beat up on the lowly Canadians. I shouldn't even say beat up on them. They won 4-3. They really should have beaten up on them, and they squeaked by. But they had an even more pivotal game on Sunday against another favorite of mine. I do root for the Lightning a lot. Very, very big game. They were jostling. As you know, you're an Islanders fan. There's so many teams right now in the East that are fighting for playoff positions. So every game, every point matters. And the Devils just against the Lightning on Sunday were as flat as I've ever seen a team. They mustered just 3 shots on goal in the third period when you need to come out flying. They were trailing only 2-1 at that point, very much in the game. Ended up letting in another goal, made it 3-1, and then eventually 4-1. But to muster just 3 shots on goal against a backup goalie, mind you, they weren't even playing against Vasilevsky, if you could believe that. With all the talent that the Devils have, this season has been just a massive disappointment. I'm just bumming real hard because it looks like they're going to miss the playoffs. I called it last week when we did our predictions. I said I thought that they were going to miss out. They're not really doing anything to prove me wrong and say otherwise. And it's gotten so bad now to the extent that the fire Lindy chants are starting to rain down again. That's obviously Lindy Ruff, their head coach. Oddly enough, the chance came last year early in the season. And then right after that, the Devils went on this ridiculous 13-game winning streak. And obviously made the playoffs last year. They beat up on the Rangers in the first round, which is awesome. So coming into this year, it just seemed like things were going to be even better. And they just done a 180. You know, there's been some injuries here and there. The goaltending has been horrible. Defense has been pretty bad, but just excuse after excuse after excuse. And I think you have to hold someone accountable. So as I sit here kind of on my soapbox in this rant, I'm never one to really try to just call for someone's job hastily and without reason, but I can't honestly sit here and say that I don't want Lindy Ruff to get the axe. You gotta make someone responsible. You know, coaches coach, players play. I get that, but at the end of the day, when your team is just underperforming, not meeting expectations, you got to get some new blood in there.
Yep.
I wish they would have done it earlier this season, kind of like we talked about with you guys, Patrick Waugh taking over. You know, maybe it's not been exactly what you hoped, but at least you guys did something. And the Devils, the general managers just should be on a milk carton. He's not doing anything. And it's just really, really disappointing. So I'm bumming hard, man. I want your thoughts on the Islanders. I know you're in a similar position, but it's just not great to be a Devils fan right now. I'm pretty disappointed.
Yeah, not to beat a dead horse, but quote me if I'm wrong. I was watching the game on Sunday. We were texting back and forth, and I believe they made the stat that I believe January 1st, your power play was first in the NHL. And then since January 1st, I want to say you guys have been like 3 for 30, 3 for 35. And then you scored a goal actually on Sunday to make it 3 goals. So, you know, like I said, not to beat a dead horse, but I mean, that's power play. I mean, power play goals are, you know, what gets you to the next level. And
you want to know what's funny about that?
Yeah.
So the Devils had their power play was great to start the season.
Yeah, that's a stat that I saw. They were number 1 in the NHL. Yeah,
they were number 1 for a while. And then now the stats that I saw something a little different than what you saw. Instead of showing the Devils power play being up there, because it's not, I think it's like 4th or 5th or 6th now, but they were showing the best power plays percentage in the regular season of all time. And I think, I forget who was number 1. It might have been the Canadians in like the 70s or something, but the Oilers were, I think, number 2, and they did it last year. So they were like 33 or 34%. And the Lightning, I think right now are 30%. So I think the Lightning now have the best power play percentage in the league. And it just kind of struck me because I'm thinking like, wow, you know, earlier this year, they were talking about the Devils and their power play was just killing it. And again, that's another thing that did a complete 180. I mean, their power play has been putrid the last month or so, just absolutely horrible. And I mean, who do you hold accountable for that? I mean, I know the players aren't putting the puck in the net, but who's running the power play? What is the coach doing? So, just more ammunition. It's a great point.
Yeah, so just talking about the Islanders, you know, similar boat. You know, we changed our coach, Patrick Waugh. I want to say he's 5-5-1. We got a win last night, but looking at the standings right now, I mean, we're 7 points out of the Lightning. And obviously, you know, they played you guys, they played us on Saturday, a must-win game for us at home. And what do? We lose 4-2 and just continue to lose ground. Over the last week, we, you know, lost the Stadium Series, beat the Penguins in overtime, lost 4-0 to St. Louis and 4-2 to Tampa. Won last night in overtime, so we still got some points, but we got to start. We just really, like you were saying, we really just got to start chipping away. I mean, like you said, right now we're 7 points out from the Lightning for the last wild card, and so are you guys. But the thing with us, with our negative 27 goal differential, I mean, that's not going to get us anywhere. You know, we mentioned this last week with the Stadium Series. Our 5-on-5 play is really good, but when we go on the power play, our power play just is atrocious. It's the one of the worst in the league, I'd have to say, the power play kill. And, you know, we did change it up, but I've mentioned before, I think Lou Lamoriello, if we keep losing, you know, going 500, I think he's going to blow the team up March 7th on the trade deadline, because we have.
You think you guys will be sellers, really?
I mean, what else would we do? We have that core that I always talk about. You know, we have the 6-7 guys that have been with us, you know, 6-7 years plus. I mean, a lot of guys want Matty Martin. You know, everybody loves Matty Martin. He'd be a good trade piece. Cal Cutterbuck, you know, Pollock, Andres Lee, Brock Nelson. So we got some guys out there that have, you know, they're aging. And Lou Lamoriello, you know Lou Lamoriello. I know Lou Lamoriello. He don't play around.
Yeah.
And he already did it with firing Lambert, which he was a decent coach. He already fired the coach, and now it's not really going any better. So I could see them really blowing it up. But
I could see that too, I suppose. Do you know, did they sign Wah to a multi-year deal? Do you know, did he get a contract?
Let's check real
I'm
quick.
curious at how long. I'm sure he's going to be around for at least a few years. It'd be unreasonable to sign him for just, one or two, but um, you make a good point, get rid of some guys at the deadline and then give Patrick Waugh, some players to maybe mold the rest of this year and into next year and start to build his team instead of inheriting guys that were from Lambert and others.
It doesn't say anything about a contract. It just says right here that January 20th, they fired Lambert, 2021 or the 21st. They put him in as a coach. So it doesn't say anything about a contract. I would presume at least a 1 or 2 year.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Let me look up one more thing. But yeah, I mean, I just think that they're probably going to blow it up if they don't make it happen, because it's very mind-boggling. Yeah. It says a 3-year contract with the Islanders. Here we go. So
okay,
he's under contract until 25-26. 2.5 years to prove his worth and perhaps learn the ropes with the view on moving to another position. So, I think he's going to try to see what he wants, and I'm sure he's going to want his guys in there.
Yeah.
But it's very frustrating.
It is. I'm looking at the standings. I harped on this last week. So we know that the Rangers, I know you don't like this.
Nobody does. Rangers, nobody likes the Rangers.
You and I got down on some betting action this past weekend. And of course, we hate the Rangers, but we took them over the lowly Blue Jackets, who they should have beat up on. And of course, they lose. Yep. So that snapped their 10-game winning streak. But I'm looking at the standings, and I see the Wings have won 5 in a row. That's another team that's just killing me right now because they're in the wild card spot.
We play them. We play them on Thursday, actually. Yeah, we play them actually on Thursday. Not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
So we got more games we got to play. I mean, more teams ahead of us.
Yeah, that's a big one. And then I look at the Leafs, and the Leafs have won 7 in a row. Now, different division also, but if they falter, they could drop to a wild card spot. But the thing that stands out to me, though, is that 5 games, 7 games, the Rangers with 10, the Oilers obviously had 13. And, some of those things are anomalies. But I mentioned it last week, the Devils have not been able to put together anything remotely close to that. Just like, I don't know if they've had a 4-game winning streak this year, and just no consistency whatsoever. And if you look at the teams that are going to be cup contenders, it's those teams who can string together wins and ride momentum. It's the Rangers, the Bruins, the Leafs, the Wings of the league. Those teams have a shot.
Yeah, so they put together 2-game win streaks against the Kraken and the Predators, and against the Capitals and the Blackhawks beginning of the year.
Who did
that? The Devils.
Okay. How many games?
2-game win streaks. That's about it. That's the longest they've gone.
They haven't even won 3 in a row?
No, sir. Wild.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
wild.
Are
you serious? No 3 games in a row?
Nope. I'm looking at it right here. They went 3 out of 4 to start the season, and then they lost 2 in a row, lost 2 in a row.
So the most they've won is 2 games, a back-to-back, and then they lose.
Yeah. That's Kraken incredible. And Predators about 2 weeks ago, and then Capitals and Blackhawks beginning of the year, game 3 and game 4.
That's worse than I thought. I'm looking at January. They to start the year, they beat the Blackhawks, they beat the Caps.
Yep.
But to end the year, they lost to the Bruins. Yeah. Oh no, they did win 3 in a row. They did in December. Sorry, the 23rd, the 27th, the 29th. They beat the Wings, the Blue Jackets, and the Senators. But that's it. Oh no, they did it twice. I don't know what you're looking at. They did it twice in December. So you were right. So the 5th, the 7th, and the 9th, they beat the Canucks, the Kraken, and the Flames.
Oh yeah, okay. Buffalo, Minnesota, and then Buffalo, New York, Philadelphia.
That was a good stretch. Yeah. They were still at least in the conversation. They had a 3-game win streak, and then they ended the year, sort of with a 3-game win streak. But that was it. 2 stretches of 3 games, no 4 games, no 5 beyond that. It's just inconsistent, and that's why they're going to be, I think, on the outside looking in. So one thing I wanted to touch on, because they played them, and we're going to maybe parlay this into a new segment the next couple of weeks where we highlight some athletes from different sports. But I wanted to give a nod to Nikita Kucherov. He has just been pretty incredible this year. Like, he's leading the league in points. He got 4 points. He got a point on every single goal that was scored against the Devils. It was 4-1. He was involved on all 4 goals. And he was the first player this season to notch 100 points. He's got 102 right now. And so, I mean, Kucherov is just amazing, dude. He's been consistent for years and years. I don't know if the Lightning drafted him. I think he did spend some time in the minors back when the triplets were a thing with like Tyler Johnson. I think it was Palat was one of them, and Cooch. Those guys were special back in the day, and they really hit a jackpot with Cooch. Like, he's just been a great find and as consistent of a player as you could possibly ask for. So I know we're a little early on our segment, but I wanted to talk about him for a moment.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, the Lightning are kind of, to me, like your Islanders a little bit, not quite as up there in age, but in terms of like their core being a little bit older, you can see the Lightning had a great run. You know, they made the Cup Finals, I think, in 2015 and lost. A couple of years after that, they were up and down, and then obviously they won 2 cups and went to a third and lost. So you could definitely say they had their run. And now, as you look at their roster, their bottom 6 players is not what it used to be, where they just had crazy depth. Their top 6 is great, but they're aging. You know, you look at guys like Stammer and Cooch, they're all north of 30 now. Even on the back end, you got guys like Hedman, you know, is over 30. So the Lightning, I think their core is winding down, but to see a guy like Kucherov leading the league in points and just still excelling is pretty awesome to see. The guy deserves a lot of props.
Yeah, fewest to reach 100 points in 59 games for the Lightning. I don't know if you saw that stat, which is pretty impressive. And
I saw something like that. I mean, that's unheard of. You know, that's Gretzky, Lemieux, McDavid, Crosby level stuff right there.
Well, just for the Lightning, I guess the Lightning history, but still, I mean, 59 games, 100 points. That's a lot.
He was up there in the all-time. It wasn't just the Lightning. It was I saw a stat that said he was up there with the guys of all time. I want to say he was 7th or 8th or something, because this was crazy. Now I want to look it up. I think Mario Lemieux was number 1. You would always think it's kind of Gretzky, but Lemieux had 100 points, I think, in 35 games or 39. It was something absolutely stupid. See if I can find it.
All right, I got it right here. Let's see.
Kucherov reaches 100 points. This is from ESPN. I'm trying to see all time. Doesn't really give me a list. That's for an AHL season.
Okay, so Gretzky holds the record as the quickest and second quickest to achieve 100 points in a season, scoring his 100th point in Game 34 of the 83-84 season and 100 point in Game 35 of the 84-85 season.
Wow, I could have sworn I saw Lemieux. Maybe I was looking at something different. Interesting. Well, he did it in how many?
He did it in the quickest was 34 games in 83-84 and 35 games in 84-85. And most player with most 100-point seasons is Wayne Gretzky with 15. Lemieux is second with 10. So there's your Lemieux stat.
Oh, maybe it was since that's what it was. It was since it must have what I was looking at must have been like a 30-year thing, because I'm looking at an article from a few years ago when McDavid did it, and this says he was the first player to do it, in 25 years since Lemieux did it in 95, 96. Maybe that's what I saw. Maybe it was within 30 years or something.
I got you. Still an amazing stat, though. Yeah. That's still awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, 100 points in 59 games, you got to average almost at least a point a game, you know?
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's up there. So I wanted to acknowledge Cooch. And, you know, I always say I root for some local teams around here. I root for the Lightning a lot. And if the Devils are out, I'll be putting on my blue shirt, my Bolt shirt, and I guess rooting for them a little bit earlier than scheduled this year. So.
Yeah, exactly. But we both might have to go either to the Panthers or the Lightning. I'm probably gonna go to the Panthers when my Islanders leave because of
That would make it fun. You and I
friend of the show. But we'll
exactly,
see.
and that's a good rivalry. I mean, the Bolts Panthers have some history. They're both obviously Florida teams, so maybe if our primary teams are out, you root for the Cats, I'll root for the Bolts. Might make it fun.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I wanted to maybe turn to some baseball action before we take our beer segment. You good with that?
Yeah, always good for baseball, man. Everybody loves baseball.
So, yeah, you brought up spring training, obviously, and for the listeners out there, and fans of the show, our friends know that we've been kind of doing this tradition of spring training games for what 6-7 years now, maybe longer, something like that. I don't think there's been a year that we missed a game, maybe one, but it's pretty much been a thing for us where we get together for a weekend. I know we've done multiple games and maybe even multiple weekends when the stars align and schedules permit. But I just I wanted to just put a little PSA out there for people. Baseball has gotten a bad rap, over the last few years. Attendance has been down. People found the game to be slow, and maybe people think Americans are moving on to other sports, and there may be some truth to that. I think the MLB has done a great job in improving their game, making it faster, things like that. But I just wanted to give a shout out to spring training and just the stadiums. If people tuned into another one of our shows that was earlier this year, we did some of our favorite parks, and I personally had a couple spring training parks on my list because it's just a great time. And I mean, maybe some of it is just the weather and the atmosphere, where the colder months are behind us. But something about spring training is just, it's hard not to have a good time, have a smile on your face, spending time in the outfield, cheap seats, cracking a beer, watching your favorite players. It's just a really, really good time. I enjoy it. And I enjoy trying different parks. Last year I did Fort Myers and the Little Fenway for the first time, which was amazing. We also did the Braves' new stadium, which was, again, amazing. You've been to Lakeland before. I haven't. I know there's been some changes, so you're interested in going back. But really, wherever you go, there's two parks here where I'm located in Sarasota, Bradenton. The Pirates and the Orioles play here, and I've been to those games countless amount of times. So I do like to try different stadiums. But if I can't go to a new stadium, I will absolutely go to those again because it's just so fun. It's affordable, it's fun. And I think for people that haven't done it before, if you're looking for a good time, trying to get some kids interested in the game, go out and get some cheap spring training tickets and enjoy the game. I mean, it's just an awesome time all around.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback off of that too. Like I mentioned, beginning of the show, I love spring training. I mean, it's the best thing in the world. Going off what you said, stadiums are awesome. And the cool thing is, like I said, you can get cheap tickets and either you can sit on the berm, bring your own blanket, hang out, or just walk around the stadium. And the cool thing about the stadiums is they're really, really small. I think the biggest stadium in Florida is the Braves one. It's close to 9,500. So everything besides that is below 9,500. And you're just able to literally, go there early. You have a good chance to get in a home run ball. If you get lucky, you have a good chance to get some autographs. And really it's really just a phenomenal time because what I always thought about spring training is once spring training starts, that's when the weather is going to start getting really well because baseball players, everybody knows they barely play in the rain. And if it pours or lightnings, the game gets delayed. So for baseball season to be starting, it's time for baseball season. It's time for really good weather and just a lot of fun. Also to piggyback off of you, we've been doing it for 6-7 years. It's just a lot of fun to go out there. We can, we play some games and say, this guy's going to be really good. And we get to watch prospects. We get to really just enjoy the game as a casual fan and just as a regular fan. And anybody has a good time is my honest opinion about spring training.
Yeah, 100%. I think you nailed it. And you're right. Like that is the fun of it, is being able to see some of your players up close and personal, seeing how, for me, it's a good opportunity to see. Obviously you get to see some rookies, some guys who are on the fringe of the team, maybe called up from the minors, trying to make the roster. So it's a really cool look at, players before they make it big. You know, you could see a rookie for the first time or some minor league guys, and then you know, not really know who they are, but see their name, see their number, maybe see their face, and then later on in the season, you know, if they start exploding, you're like, wow, I saw this guy before he was anybody, you know, at the very beginning. So that's really cool. But like you said, it's a very intimate atmosphere. Like you said, the stadium is small. They don't hold a lot of fans. And for the most part, the tickets are pretty reasonable. We talked about it before the show. It seems like this happens every year. It's never going to get any better. So I know, you know, I'm with you. The reason why we like to go to these games is because it's affordable, but I've never been to a Tampa Yankees game, not Tampa Yankees, but the actual Yankees when they play in Tampa, because it's expensive. And that's crazy because I'm only an hour from Tampa. It is sort of on my bucket list. I'd like to go see the stadium, see the Yanks there, but just, you know, when we could go to a Pirates or an O's game or a Tigers for 18 or 25 bucks compared to 50, 60, 70, 80, whatever it costs these days to go see the Yanks, it's just, I don't know. For me, it's not quite worth it. I know you kind of feel the same, but it still is a great time all around. So highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah, exactly. And we both have our own little unofficial bucket list of going to every single spring training game. I believe the only ones that I haven't gone to is West Palm Beach, where the Nationals and the Astros play, and Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, where the Cardinals and the Marlins play, and also Fort Myers, where the Twins play. Those are the only 3 ballparks that I haven't been to. So every single year, I know me and you put our heads together and we try to cross some stuff off. We crossed off the Braves last year, as you said. You crossed off the Red Sox. So it's just, like I said, just can't say it enough. It's a lot of fun, and it's just a really good time to watch some baseball and hang out and enjoy the good weather.
Yeah. So coming up to like the halfway point, we usually take our break. Before we go to break, I want to stay on baseball for another few minutes because, not to put you on the spot, we'll talk a lot of baseball, you know, especially if we do go to some games. We'll share our experiences about that. But we did this with hockey last week. I think we said who we think is going to make and miss the playoffs. Super, super early, obviously premature. So I'm not going to ask you who makes the playoffs or anything like that. But given that we're going to be coming up to baseball soon, give me just 2 teams, and it could be from either league, American or national. Who do you think is going to have a great season that would potentially be unexpected by most people? And who do you think is just going to fall short of expectations and kind of just underperform? 2 teams, 1 of each.
Okay. All right.
And I'm
so,
writing this down.
all right, we'll get this early. Like I said, we'll have a big baseball show here in the next couple of weeks before the season starts. But just giving you, so my Colorado Rockies, I believe that they got a lot of young talent. They still have Chris Bryant. They still have some really good players. I think they're going to be a team that surprises this year. They, like I said, they still got a good manager, Bud Black. They still got Chris Bryant. They got some young pitching, and it's Colorado. It's a mile high. It's a great stadium. They always have a full crowd. So the fans are always behind them. But I think they're going to be a team that surprises everybody, and a team that is supposed to be good, but that's not going to be good is going to be the shoot. Knew you were going to do this crap.
This isn't set in stone. It's not.
It's okay.
I'm not using this to bet or anything like that. Just purely for fun, and I'm doing it because it's so stupid early. Like, no, I'm not going to make you look back on this in October and be like, "Oh, you said these guys were going to be good or bad."
Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto Blue Jays.
Blue Jays falling short.
Yes.
Okay.
The AL East is a competitive division. I think the Orioles and the Yankees are just going to be top 2, and they're just going to kill the division. I think the Blue Jays are going to fall short. They're just going to not be as good as they were supposed to be. So Blue Jays not good, and Rockies my surprise team.
I like it. I think those are pretty good picks. Before I get to my picks, have you seen? I didn't even realize this. I was just going to comment on Ohtani because I saw that he homered in his debut.
Yeah,
just crazy. But even crazier, I'm looking at the standings. I thought they'd only already played 1 or maybe 2 games max, but I see the Dodgers have played 5, and they're 5-0. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just is it just going to be comical, you think, throughout the year? Like, are the Dodgers just going to run away with it?
I mean, everybody says they are, but baseball's baseball, man. And
Yeah.
injuries happen, teams get hot, teams get cold. I mean, they're going to be a
Yeah.
good team. They're going to make the playoffs. They're probably going to be number one in the NL, but the teams get hot. I mean, look what happened last year. They were number one, and the Diamondbacks got hot and beat them in the divisional round. So,
Yeah.
so
So that's a
it's going to be
good
interesting.
Yeah, that's a good segue. You teed me up because I think going to my underperforming team, I think that's probably going to be the D-backs. I
Oof.
think things just kind of went right for them last year. Like you
Okay.
said, they got hot, but
Yep.
I think they kind of just came out of nowhere. I don't think they're really going to be able to duplicate that this year. So I kind of got my eye on them for maybe underperforming. And somebody that I think is probably going to do a little better than expected. I don't know. There's two teams I got my eye on. And I don't know if you could consider either one of them. I guess it depends on who you ask. This isn't a surprise pick. I truly think that the Orioles are going to have another good season. I know last year they beat out the Rays for the division. And a lot of people said it was a little too early. So maybe I think some people would think they're going to come back and it's an obvious pick. I don't know. To me, it's not obvious because they are so young, but I do think they're going to have another good season. And same thing with the Phillies. You know, they were just another team that was kind of up there, fell a little bit short, but there's a lot of talent on that roster. So don't know which. I'm taking the two of them, equal chances, O's and Phillies. I think.
You really went out on a limb there, huh, buddy boy? I mean, at least I with the Rockies didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I mean, I
really went out on a limb.
I don't really feel that strongly. I don't think there's going to be that many surprises in terms of teams that do well. But I do think teams that aren't going to do well, I think that's probably going to be the D-backs. So
I'll give you a second team. The Tigers are going to be a surprise team this year as well. I'm just telling you.
You think?
Yeah, they got some good young players. What?
Little chip magic, little karma for the show.
That's what I'm saying. The Tigers have a really good team. They got a good young team coming. They got some good young players. They got good young pitching. So you do two teams. I'm going to do the Tigers and the Rockies, NL and AL. If you want to pick a AL team, you can just to keep it going.
Okay. No, I'm staying with my two. I'm staying O's and Phillies.
Works for me, buddy.
So before we take a break, last question. We talked about Ohtani just for a second. You think there's any chance he flirts with like a home run record or something like that?
I don't think so. He's gonna tire out like he did last year. Remember they were talking about him. I think he hit 40, 42, and then he messed up his elbow, and then he took off the last month of the year. So
he's not pitching this year, right?
No, he's not pitching, but that's still got to affect his swing. He's got elbow surgery, so that's still got to. I don't know how it works, but it's still got to affect his swing somehow. That's just me thinking out loud.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if he's going to have more energy. He's going to be healthier because even though you only pitch every 5 days, it's still.
Yeah.
He pitches his heart out. 100 some pitches. Week after week after week. You would think that takes a toll on him, but
it did last year. That's what happened last year. So
exactly. So that's kind of why I thought maybe I don't know. I root for that kind of thing. It's been a long, long time since we've seen some guys flirt with records. I don't know if we'll ever get there again. Because
Aaron Judge did it 2 years ago, brother. Come on, man.
Yeah, he did. 62 was what he landed on?
Yeah, American League record.
I like that, I guess, especially given the guys who ended up breaking the records. Of course, I'm talking about Bonds, McGuire, Sosa. All those guys were 66, 70, 73.
Yep.
But I'm not a American League versus National League guy. I'm not the NHL. I'm not really Eastern Conference, Western Conference when it comes to records. And I know baseball is different.
No, I get you.
But I'm not trying to diminish the accomplishment, hell of an accomplishment. Because you could make the argument if you take out the steroid era, maybe Judge has the all-time MLB record. But the fact that as of right now, there's three guys that still are ahead of him. That's what I'd like to see Ohtani make a run for, And I think it can happen one day. he could get to 74. I'd like to see it.
I'd like to see Judge do it. I can't stand Ohtani, but that's here nor there.
I don't love him. I just think he's got the best shot. I mean, do you think there's anybody else besides him? I mean, my boy Polar Pete, maybe. Or?
Aaron Judge, Juan Soto. There's some guys. Juan Soto is a beast.
So, I swear we'll take a break for a minute, but I'm rolling on baseball, and
that's fine. I love baseball.
I reminded
baseball
myself
all day long.
You got me thinking. I wanted to ask you this. Again, I'm bumming as a sports fan lately, and I say this because we're just at the start of spring training, and I forget somebody on the Fan. I think it was this weekend host, Danielle McCarran is her name. I listen to her every once in a while. She's actually pretty good. I think she was saying, and I completely agreed, that this is the least excited people have been about the Mets for a very long time, which is just so Mets in general. They always fall apart by the All-Star break, sometimes even earlier. Like last year, we dealt with Edwin Diaz going down before the season started. This year, what's his face just went down too, and
Kodai Senga. Whatever.
Right, Senga. Yeah. So, and she raised a couple of good points. Like last year, we had two pitchers, which I wasn't fans of bringing them in to begin with because they were old. But we had a couple older vets, Verlander, and then the name's escaping me. But we had those two guys leading us for a while.
Mad Max Scherzer.
Yeah, exactly, Scherzer. We had Scherzer and Verlander, and I wasn't fans of bringing them in initially, but whatever, we had them on our roster, and you knew those guys were the 1-2 punch. Now with Senga getting hurt, we're not even at opening day yet, and the Mets you don't know who their starting pitcher is. I just miss the days of DeGrom. Yeah. I miss the days of the Dark Knight. Remember Matt Harvey
Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah, those guys. At least
Wheeler.
Baseball season was fun. You had some great guys. Now we're talking about possibly losing Alonso, trading him, or we don't re-sign him. It's awful. How are we having this conversation before the season even starts? So I envy you. I mean, you guys.
Hey, come across the board. Come across the board. We'd love to have you.
I can't do it. But man, I wish. What it must be like. And here's the worst part. We have the richest owner in baseball.
I know.
We can't even say it's a George Steinbrenner thing from the 90s, when that guy would just spend crazy money because he wanted to win. And I think Cohen wants to win. You can't say he's not spending money, but what is it about this franchise where we now have the richest owner in baseball, the highest payroll, and people are giving up on the season on February, 27th? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I need to pick me up, man. Between hockey and baseball, I'm bumming hard.
We'll go to a spring training game. We'll get you back in. You'll be fine.
Yeah, what it is.
You're going to be fine.
I might get on the bandwagon of a new team just for this season. Maybe I'll maybe I'll become a Tigers fan this year.
Come on, Tigers, Rockies. We'll make it work.
Yeah. So
it'll be fun.
Anyway, we went long, but some good stuff there. Take a break and drink some
beer time. Let's do it.
All right. Stay with us if you're watching, listening. We'll be back in a few.
bus, smile, and a couple beautiful girls tell me goodbye. Trucks break down, dogs run off, politicians lie, being fired by the boss. It takes one hand to count the things I can count on. No, there ain't much man that ain't ever let me down. Long neck, ice cold beer never broke my heart. Like diamond rings and football teams have torn this boy apart. Like a neon dream, it just don't know me. The bars in this guitar and long neck, ice cold beer never broke my heart.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
buddy. Yeah, buddy.
Back at it again, like we always are, with some live beer reviews and taste testing. Pretty sure I went first last
You did.
week, so I'm going to give
You
you
did.
the floor.
Yes, sir. So this one's going to be really cool. You're going to love this bottle or this can. So I'm going to go ahead and start it. It's called a
Oh.
iPop. It's called a
Wow.
painkiller, and it's a fruited tart ale with pineapple, orange, and coconut. And it's from a brewery called Mason Ale Works. And I'm going to get a lot of these beers from them because my local liquor store, they carry a lot of Mason Ale Works. So I have a feeling that they're gonna be a mainstay on the show because I can get a lot of their different beers, which is pretty exciting. But like I said, Mason's Ale Works out of San Marcos, California, and it's a 5.5 ABV. It's a fruited tart ale, again, with pineapple, orange, and coconut. So I'm actually pretty excited for it.
That thing is an explosion of color on the can.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look at that. It kind of looks
So-
like a tie-dye shirt back in the day or something like that.
So you can kind of see that color already.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it smells like a fruit punch right now.
I was kind of getting like it looks like a high C almost, or some kind of like orange drink.
That's exactly what it smells like, is a high C. Wow.
Really? Okay. Hey.
Yeah, look at
Yeah.
that. That smells exactly like a high C.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Is it tart like it says on the name, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
So when you first take your first sip, you get pineapple, orange, and then tart right in the face. So wow. That's actually really good. I don't know how many you could drink of these because they're pretty sweet.
Mhm.
But yeah, 8.1. I like that.
8.1. Okay.
I mean, you look at how cool it is. It's got like popsicles through the skull's eyes. You see that?
Yeah. Very nice can art.
Yeah, very cool. And like I said, they
What's the name?
what's the name of the beer?
Yeah, it says painkiller on the bottom. Is that
Yeah,
it?
that's the name of it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like that.
And like I said, they have a lot of their beers are at my local liquor store, so I'll be getting a lot of Mason Ale Works. So
Awesome.
pretty cool. Pretty excited for it. And they got popsicles all over the place. So it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Good stuff. 8.1 on the Dauber scale. I like
Yeah,
it.
man. That's pretty good. Like I said, I don't know how many you could drink, but they're pretty good.
Okay. Give you mine. This was purchased today. It was a spur of the moment thing. I had to do my run. Kind of going out on a bit of a limb here. I know I
Okay.
didn't with my picks, so I will with my beer. Holding this up, if you can see it. The name,
Sherman Bach.
Sherman Bach. Yep. And
Okay.
it's I think that's the brewery. It says 903 Brewers. And obviously, it's by the name, it's a German style Bach. I
Okay.
picked it because I don't know that I've had many Bachs on here, if at all.
I don't think you have. No, I don't think you have.
Yeah, I mean, it says obviously it's similar to a lager, but I know that there's some probably subtle differences in Bachs. This one's it's a German style. It's 7.1%.
Holy hell.
The interesting thing too, the reason why I picked this, not so much for the art like I usually do, but the type of beer. But on the back of it, it actually says pairs with, and it says ribeye, aged Swiss, and pastures parties. So I think that's kind of cool that they tell you that this might pair well with the steak.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Maybe some tips on what to maybe have it with. But yeah, I'm interested to try this Bach. I don't know.
And where are they out
how
of?
I'm gonna think of it. What's that?
Where are they out of? Where?
These guys are. What did it say? brewed and canned in Sherman, Texas. So
Ooh,
I think
okay.
that's why it's called a Sherman Bach.
Understood.
So, yeah, we will see. Sherman, Texas.
It's probably gonna be a nice dark color if I had to guess.
It looks dark.
All right. Got to get bigger glasses.
Huh?
Got to get
glass.
bigger glasses. Yeah.
Look at that color.
Yeah, that's a good
Oh,
color. That's
man.
a nice pour too. That's probably your top 5 pour.
This is dark.
How's she smell?
It's, malty for sure.
Okay.
So before I sip it, it
Sure.
says Sherman Bach is a malt-driven lager, perfect for any occasion. Its bready caramel sweetness is balanced by a crisp, dry finish. Noble hop additions balance the Munich malt and lend a subtle addition of spicy and floral hop character, but virtually no bitterness.
Damn.
So, lot in this beer. A lot in this beer. So, let me see. Oh man, that is malty, man. Woo!
7.1 too. That'll get you right in the face, huh?
Yeah, I think it would creep up on you if you had a few. Man, this is it's kind of like drinking like a shake almost. Like, let me.
Is it thick?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good way to describe it. That's where I was going with that. It's thick. It's a little heavy. Not in a terrible way. It's just you got to be prepared for it. You got to like that, and the malty flavors. So I would drink this on a cold day.
Okay.
In the wintertime for sure. Outdoors, maybe by the fire or something would be really, really good. Not my favorite. I'm not a huge fan, of the style. I got it because I want to try it, and now I kind of know. I'm going to give this one a 7.8. 7.8. Not terrible, but not the best. No, right in the middle, I think.
Probably be good if you were drinking it maybe in October, not end of February.
Exactly. A little out of order. I don't know about you, but as I go through, they say they're seasonal beers, but looking through the selection in some of the stores, I'm still finding a lot of Oktoberfests.
Yeah, I have a couple too. This Mason Alework had a couple. Yeah, there's still a bunch out there. So I think it's just whatever's available. I think just whatever they got in there.
Yeah. And, I like a lot. What I mean. I like blonde beers. I like pilsners, Kolsch, things like that.
Yep.
Typically a little bit lighter, and you could say more for the summer side, but we're not even in March yet. I'm not ready to move to summer beers just yet, but I feel like we're past Oktoberfest. But anyway,
I got you.
Good beer, man. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I got something very, very random. We don't have to spend too much time on it that we could talk about unless you got something top of mind.
No, sir.
I don't want to be hogging the floor.
No, make it happen.
So, okay. Want to go on something that I don't think we've talked about. We haven't. It's a sport. We haven't talked about it, I think, at all on any of our 22 shows.
Okay.
So think about the sports we've talked about. We've covered a lot, even some sports that are not mainstream. And I'm thinking of one. Maybe you know what I'm talking about, but the other one we've not talked about at all. Do you know where I'm going with this?
I have some ideas, but not off the top of my head.
Okay.
Tennis would be my guess. It'd be tennis, but I don't know.
Great guess. It's not tennis.
Okay.
I mentioned it. I was going to bring it up last week just for something to talk about because something occurred. And we ran out of time. We talked about some other things. While we got some time now, I wanted to mention it, and that is NASCAR. So last week was Daytona 500. So that's why it was on my mind, right? Am I right? We haven't talked about it, right?
Yeah, nobody. That's by choice.
Yeah, right. And that's why I'm mentioning it. I knew you were going to get there, and we're not going to spend too much time on it. But that was my thing. Is I'm like, should we have acknowledged it? I mean, we live in.
We can talk about it, but I'm just not a huge fan. I tried to get into it about 10 years ago. It's just hard. It's hard to get into it.
Yeah, I'm with you. We won't. For those of you who are listening and watching, if you're a NASCAR fan, do your thing. It's just for us, Dan and I, we don't get into it. I don't. When I moved to Florida, NASCAR was a new thing for me, and I did try to get into it as a kid.
Yeah.
There was a time when I thought collecting a lot of the cars were cool, but it gets to be a little bit too much to keep up with, especially like nowadays. I feel like guys, maybe it's all about the money, like everything, but I feel like guys change their sponsorships all the time.
They
Like
do. They do.
when I was younger and trying to get into it and embrace the sport of Florida, it was cool to see a guy like Jeff Gordon. I remember back in the day when he was big, he was riding the DuPont car, I think.
Yeah.
And I
Rainbow
think
Warrior. He was a Rainbow Warrior. Yep. 24.
yeah, exactly. And then I just remember like he had a good run, but eventually another
Yeah.
sponsor. I think maybe he changed his number. And it just seemed like all the guys were doing that all the time. And I'm like, where's your allegiance? Like how, what can I follow here? It's just guys constantly shuffling cars and
Yeah.
numbers and sponsors. But I just wanted to bring that up because it seems like we're still in lockstep. It's just hard to get into. I will say that, we talk a lot about how sports, is so heavily ingrained in our lives and a lot of these things are bucket lists for us. It is a little bit of a bucket list for me to go to a NASCAR event live. I hear the experience live is pretty cool, especially the Daytona 500. It's right in our backyard. I don't have any idea what tickets like that go for. Do you? I mean, are they like
I think they're about 120, 125. The good thing is, though, I've heard, not to break you off on your statement, but that is a bucket list for me. I mean, I'm not a huge NASCAR guy, but I've heard really good things. They let you bring in a cooler, so you can bring in your own beer, is what I've been told, and so that's kind of cool. And I think it's just pretty cool to be there and listen to all the motors and all the cars. But I mean, I have no desire to be a fan, but I think on a bucket list, I would like to go to a live event.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just again saying I can be there for the experience that I went,
exactly.
Get to see what it's like. I imagine being I don't know if you want to be in the infield and have the action all around you 360, or if you want to be in the grandstands but low and then try to get up on the wall so you can see the cars like really hugging the wall. And I'm sure they say like you can feel it, you can hear it when you're that close. So I would like to do it at some point, but I figured I would surprise you maybe with a little something random there because we haven't talked it at all.
That's all right.
Probably won't talk it much again, but I just wanted to mention it. So
yeah, I think a real cool thing would be if you hit the midfield with the RV, and that way you can go inside your RV if you wanted to, and then get out and sit on the roof. Yeah. But like I said, that could be a bucket list. But we can mention it, like I said, because it's in Daytona. It's about an hour and a half for me, probably about 3 from you. So
I will say, staying on the automotive kind of kick for a minute, one of the things I've never been to right in my backyard is the St. Pete Grand Prix. When
that'd be kind of cool. Yeah,
they close down the streets and they
the
literally
airport, right
in the streets. Yeah, right around that area. It's like downtown St. Pete somewhere. It's once a year, I think, and that's supposed to be a cool experience. So I would like to do that at some point. But yeah,
I'll go with you. I'll go with you. We'll make it happen.
We got to make it happen. So we went long on a couple things. I know I took up a lot of time on baseball, but
that's fine.
We're coming up to the hour mark. What else you got? You want to go over NBA or NCAA? What's on your mind?
I do want to correct you from last week.
Okay.
Talking about the University of South Florida Bulls. When you were talking about them, you said that they never made the tournament before. They actually made it in 1990, 92, and 2012. And actually in 2012, they made it to the round of 32. So not to bust your balls or anything, but I was doing research and I was like, I'm pretty sure they made it before. And so they made it 3 times. I mean, they got a really good chance this year of making it. They have their coach is Amir Abdul-Rahim. And I don't know if you remember that name, but his brother is Sharif Abdul-Rahim, who used to play in the NBA for 12, 13 years for the Sacramento Kings, the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a known name. And actually his nephew, Sharif's son, plays for the University of Georgia basketball team. So it's a pretty cool little basketball family. He's in his first season. He transferred from Kennesaw State. So he was in a smaller school. Now it's with USF, and I think last week I said they were like 17-3 in their last 20 games, and I know they won. They won on Sunday. They beat Memphis, so they should make the tournament. And who knows what happens in the tournament? As you know, we'll talk when that gets going, how crazy the tournament is and how much fun it is. But just wanted to throw that out there. Like I said, not trying to bust balls, but I want to say I think you might have mentioned that was the first time, but yeah, this will be the fourth time.
I thought it was. I think I was talking to my son, and he, that was his alma mater like mine, and we both acknowledged how well they were doing. And we were just talking. We thought it was their first time, but no, it sounds like they made it a couple of times, and we want to be factually correct in the show. So please appreciate you mentioning that.
And they're actually ranked number 25 too, which is pretty cool.
What's that?
They're ranked number 25 too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what's really awesome. They're starting to get recognition, as they should. I mean, I'm looking at it.
21-5.
Yeah, and I think last show they had won 11 in a row. Maybe it was 12, but now it's 13. Like 13 games in a row is I don't think it's any fluke.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah,
no one else is even close to that. I mean, in their conference, no one's close. Does anyone else have? So Loyola, Illinois, has 7 wins in a row. UNC has 3. Houston has 5. Yeah, I mean, I can't. Nebraska 4. Charleston has 7. I mean, so those are decent, but 13 is to me on another level, right? I mean,
yeah, I'm going into conferences right now, real quick. Yeah, so North Carolina 3, 4.
So I got one for you. Has an Ivy League school ever made the tournament?
So they always make a tournament because they have their conference tournament, and they always get an automatic bid. So right now, Cornell and Princeton are top 2 in their division, and Yale as well. So the top 3, and they have their conference tournament, and whoever wins the tournament gets an automatic bid.
Oh, okay. So one team, whoever wins each conference is automatically in.
And thus, yeah, and then like I was talking about last show, how they have those automatic bids like in college football. So like I said, Cornell, Princeton, and Yale. Cornell is 20-5, Princeton's 21-3, and Yale is 18-8. So
are you telling me the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference? To me, these are all really small schools. Like I'm looking at Quinnipiac, St. Peter's, Marist. One of those teams is automatically going to get in.
Yep. So what happens is a lot of these teams, they get a 16 seed or a 15 seed, just like our UMBC boys. Remember them?
Right. Yeah.
So they're either going to be a 15, 16, or they're going to play in the first 2 games, like when they went up to 65 instead of 62.
I mean,
so they're going to play.
I've never even heard of. Where's Siena?
Siena, where's that at? I'm not sure exactly where it's at, but they're 4-20. They're not going to make the team. They're 4.
No, you're right. I'm just looking at some of the names I've never heard of. Like
Marist is in upstate New York. Quinnipiac, I think, is in New York. St. Peter's, they made the Final Four either last year or the year before. I don't know if you remember that correctly, but they made the Final Four.
Yeah, yep. It said it sounded familiar, but I mean, it's a small school, right? I mean,
yeah. So a lot of these teams, if they win their tournament, like I said, they have their conference tournament, and if they win, they'll get an automatic bid. And either they'll be a 16, 15 seed, or they'll play in the first 2 games of the weekend, like before the whole thing drops off. So it's cool for those teams because I think they get some money from the NCAA for making the tournament.
Yeah.
So it's cool. But I mean, look at our boys, man. UMBC, got to keep them around, man.
Yeah. What a time that was. That was fun.
Oh, that was a great time. Love those dudes. Love that team.
What were they? The Golden Retrievers?
Yeah, buddy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
But yeah, good stuff. I don't know if you want to touch on anything else. We're about an hour mark. What are you thinking?
No, that's all I had. But as I'm literally scrolling through the conferences, and I guess it's alphabetical order, and I got to the West Coast. St. Mary's, California, has won 15 in a row. So they actually have trumped USF.
So that's the division that Gonzaga's in, and you've heard of Gonzaga before. They're usually really good in their division. They're having an off year. But usually they come out. Usually St. Mary's and Gonzaga, they always come out of that division and make the tournament.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. 15 in a row. Jeez.
23-6. Yeah.
Yeah, and 14-0 in their conference. I mean, 8-0 on the road, like that. That's pretty impressive. It doesn't look like anything bothers them.
That is the truth.
Yeah.
Trying to find our UMBC boys. Let's see where they're at.
Yeah, what conference they were in, I don't remember at all. I got to be honest. And
That's all right.
it had to be something. They're on the East Coast, right? They were Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland. So you would think Mid-Eastern, maybe? No,
Yeah, but
Mid-American. Let's find him here before we sign off. I know I'm curious. Where are they? If we Google it, we could probably find it in a second. But big Atlantic Coast, maybe.
sorry everybody. I know we're taking up some time, but this is
Hey, this is live.
There they are. American East Conference. The UMBC
American East, yes, the
Retrievers.
very first one. Wow,
They're not.
Ooh, that's
They're
rough.
not a good team. That's okay.
4-9 conference, 12-14 overall. Yeah.
Yeah, not a big
Hey,
deal.
they had their what did they finish that year? Was it?
I want to say they made the Sweet 16.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Sounds right.
a lot of fun with that team.
Yeah, we did. Maybe though, it's always fun rooting for one of those Cinderella stories, the underdog. So
Only 16 seed to beat a number 1 seed too. Just to give everybody a little background on why we wasted some time on looking for him because we
did someone do it last year? I thought someone was it a 2 that beat a 15?
a 2 beat a 16 or 15 beat a 2.
Okay. So UMBC was the only 16 to beat a 1? Wow.
Let's see. Yeah, the only one.
Wow. Okay. That was magical.
That's our
We
boys,
saw.
man.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Well, good stuff. Another good show as always. Appreciate everybody for listening to us, watching us.
actually, 2 FDU last year beat Purdue. The only second time it's happened.
I knew it. I knew
Yep.
it was last year.
So
I
yeah,
knew it.
another great show though. For real, it was fun.
Awesome. As always, appreciate everybody listening and watching us. Stay tuned next week. We have hopefully an announcement to make. Pretty excited, but we don't want to let cat out of the bag until it's absolutely official. But it'll be potentially a nice breakthrough for Dan and I. So
Yeah.
that's all we got. Overtime Sports Show coming to you again. Hopefully we delivered a great show, and we'll see everybody next week.
Peace.
Everybody come see the greatest show. Gather up all juggalos and roll. Come on. Everybody come see the greatest show. Gather up all juggalos and roll. Come on. Everybody come see the greatest show. Gather up all juggalos and roll. Come on. Everybody come see the greatest show. Come on. Everybody come, everybody come, everybody. Everybody come see the greatest show.